Hello and welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. It's our first episode of 2022 and we are starting off with another excellent book. This week we are checking out Still Alive by Forrest Galante. Now Forrest is probably best known for some of his series including Mysterious Creatures with Forrest Galante, Extinct or Alive, as well as some of the times he's appeared on Shark Week. For those of you who don't know, Forrest Galante is a wildlife biologist, and the series Extinct or Alive, he was searching for animals that had been deemed extinct. Now for Forrest, this is something that kind of runs in the family because his grandfather actually helped with the discovery of the coelacanth, one of those quote-unquote Lazarus species. I recently came across Forrest's series Extinct or Alive and started watching it, binge-watched the entire thing, and so right away I knew I had to pick up this book, and I dove into it, and I will say what you see of Forrest on TV as far as bringing all that passion for the wildlife, really making you understand just how amazing these creatures are, comes through almost as well in the book. That's something a lot of times I think is lost when people write books is, they're really outgoing, all this and that, they're really passionate, but when they write a book, maybe it just doesn't come through as much. But when you read this book, you can definitely hear like Forrest talking the entire time. Going back to Extinct or Alive, if you watch that series, the majority of this book covers those two seasons. Now what's really cool about that is you actually get a lot of behind the scenes, you kind of get some mental notes as far as what he was thinking before, during, after, just a little bit more insight to those episodes, and a little bit more behind the scenes that maybe didn't make it onto TV. And so that was really cool to learn more about that. But for me, obviously having seen the series, I think a lot of the cool stuff is like the before and after. Forrest goes into more about his life in Africa when he came to the United States, obviously because of circumstances outside of his control. Obviously he was forced out of his home at gunpoint. And then it really goes in depth about some other travels leading up to eventually that big break of Naked and Afraid that eventually led to him getting Extinct or Alive. And it's really cool when you read this book just to see all the through lines or callbacks, stuff that comes up earlier in the book or midway through the book almost has a payoff or comes full circle in a way. Like I said, he was forced out of Africa, and obviously if you've seen the Cape Line episode, you saw him go back. But in the book, I think it just strikes different because you have more of that build-up, you have more of that connection, his story, and so that midway point in the book where he goes back, you're like, wow, this means even more before for the reader because now they understand more. There's other callbacks, from when capturing animals when he was younger to capturing, the tire croc or attempting to capture the tire croc. And so to see those through lines and everything kind of get paid off is really, really neat. It's just a fascinating story, and it's really neat to see someone so passionate, again, so in love with animals. For me growing up, I grew up in the age where, the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, was really big, really passionate. Outside of just me, a lot of my friends were really inspired as well by Steve, and, we went out in the wild, looked at animals, studied animals because of Steve. And since Steve has been gone, there's not that big persona on national TV all the time. So Forrest coming onto TV and just showing that same amount of enthusiasm, just really excited, especially putting so much work into animals that everyone says you will never find, they've gone extinct, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And then he finds them. I think it's really good for conservation to have someone like Forrest out there because it's inspiring people. If you look on YouTube, there's people even today out there making videos similar to like Extinct or Alive or looking for animals because of Forrest. So he's inspiring another whole generation, much like my generation was inspired by Steve Irwin. And so that's something else that's really cool And as far as Extinct or Alive goes, I think we'll definitely cover that at some point. So keep an eye on the channel. Obviously a link will pop up at some point. But let's take a closer look. I don't want to give away too much of the book. It's really good. Go pick it up. Alright, so we're going to take a quick look at the book itself. Kind of just show you a little bit more in-depth look at it. Obviously the cover says Still Alive, A Wild Life of Rediscovery by Forrest Galante, world's leading rare species expert and host of Extinct or Alive. And the picture here is just him with Fern. On the side we see it says Forrest Galante, Still Alive, and got publisher there. And on the back a nice yellow, actually kind of reminds me of another book I have called Sting of the Wild. I don't know, something about yellow, just really catching. Another good pick. And here at the bottom is the barcode if you guys want that, the ISBN, find it that way. On the back it just says a little bit about Forrest. So with acknowledgments, the book clocks in at 238 pages. Now without acknowledgments, it's 231. And right before acknowledgments is Taking Action. Just gives you some other conservation groups that you might be able to contact and get involved with. Now throughout this book, it tells what the main theme of the chapter is going to be, in this case tire croc, which unfortunately for Forrest, he was not able to capture and help, free this croc from the tire that was stuck because, COVID, the pandemic broke out and they had to leave right away. He tried to stick it out as much as he could, but, at some point the airports were closing down and he just couldn't stay anymore. He did show the locals kind of some tricks and ways to capture and safely remove the tire. And in an update, since the book's been written, a few weeks ago, tire croc was captured and the tire was safely removed, so it's no longer a tire croc. So pretty cool there. So just words in this one. Obviously there are those pictures you'll see throughout. Now there is a mid portion, has some cool pictures just from different adventures. This one is pretty cool, just him with a croc. The puffin when he was looking for the great auk there. Just some really awesome pictures and telling the story of Forrest. Alright, so overall, what would I rate it? I'd say I highly recommend it. At least 4 out of 5 stars, 9 out of 10, whatever. It's really, really good. And it's just great to see all these animals that were thought extinct. And in some cases, maybe there was reasons why we thought they were extinct, but they probably weren't. And there was probably a lot of people that also didn't think they were. But then there's other cases like the leopard or the tortoise, as you see Fern on the cover here, where people really didn't think there was any hope. And for Forrest to capture proof of the leopard and obviously they found Fern, I mean, that's amazing work, and it's really crucial to our understanding of the world. So, I mean, it's really awesome. Can't recommend this book enough. And definitely a good book to kick off 2022 with. I'll leave some links in the description below where you can find it, purchase a copy yourself, as well as maybe some links where you can find Forrest and learn more about him. A little preview for our next episode of Culz Book Reviews. It's going to be our first requested episode. So we've had a book requested to be reviewed by us. So want to check that out. So stay tuned. You'll definitely see that here in the near future. To see other Culz book reviews we've done in the past, click that link to your left. To see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, have you read Still Alive? And what's been your favorite episode that Forrest has been a part of?